There is this thing about being raised during wartime. It's a curse in so many ways, but also it's
Yes.
a blessing.
Yes.
Now that I reflect on a bit more on the past and basically what shaped me, and in the context of writing next, leading through the new realities,
Yes.
you reflect on actually what got you to where you are. And there are some things that I'm sure everyone that's maybe watching us now, had lived through their lives. It doesn't have to be as disruptive and as bad as war, but actually that shaped their personality, their character, the leaders they became. And I think for me, growing up in a war-torn Beirut in Lebanon was that experience. And also, I think the biggest influence was my father.
Yes.
My father, work ethics. And there was this thing about it I used to love when I was a young boy, a young teenager, to go with him to work. So when you're growing up in war, there's a lot of time where there's no school.
Yes,
because
course.
of security.
Of course.
So the school is closed, or you have holidays or whatever. And every time I had no school or I had holidays, I used to accompany my father to work. And my father was a retailer. So he had stores, and he had an office, kind of a central office and stores. So I used to go with him from one store to the other, check what happened, how can we get there? This road is blocked, that other road is open. What do you do with supply chain? How do you get your merchandise or your goods through because of war-related matters? How do you pay? The banks are closed, the banks are open. How do you make transfers? So everything that we take for granted today. How do you secure electricity? How actually you make sure that your stores are safe? So I still remember our stores had actually a very high wall in front of them that was made of sandbags, because you want the customer to feel safe. You just don't want a sharp nail coming in, or you don't want a bullet coming in. So everyone had these very high walls made of sandbags, because the sandbags are very good at stopping
Yes.
projectiles. So when you think about this, how can you even operate in this kind of environment? But actually, the one thing you learn is that war does not stop life. And the most, I would say, resilient form of life is business. So the first lesson I've learned is that war does not stop business. It just changes the way you go about business. And it actually forges you as a leader, because you build businesses that are primarily driven by redundancy and resilience, not by efficiency and optimization. I think this for me is one of the biggest lessons that I came back and applied as a CEO of a large group like Majid Al Futtaim. I mean, 110 nationalities, 17 markets, 50,000 people, billions of dollars in turnover. And you naturally try to build things around efficiency and around optimization. You want to optimize everything you do. You want to maximize your profitability. You want things to flow down to the bottom line. But actually, when you are at war, when you are in a disrupted environment, what you learn is the importance of business going, redundancy. Today, we think about redundancy in the context of, let's say, business continuity. And business continuity, let's say if we have a fire in the head office, what do we do? If the servers are down, what do we do? But you don't think about it in the context if the global internet is down.
Yes.
I mean, this is what happened during COVID, for example. We don't think about it in the context of if you have war that comes. We might think about if you have war related now to supply chain. So what do you do? How do you create options and different routes or other matters? So you learn that actually the real value in a business is not driven by efficiency. It's actually driven by redundancy and resilience of the business, whether the business model or actually your financial equation and your ability to keep going